Oklahoma Christian University has played host to lots of great speakers over the years. We've had foreign country presidents here. We've had a couple of United States presidents here. We had an NFL football quarterback just a couple of weeks ago. We've even had the commander of the International Space Station, an astronaut who spoke to students in chapel while he was 90 miles above the Earth, circling the globe in the International Space Station. But when I announced 2 weeks ago that we were going to have this guest with us today, the place went nuts like never before. It's an honor to have Jase Robertson from Duck Dynasty with us on the Oklahoma Christian campus and in the duck pond at Oklahoma Christian.
Oh, I'm loving it. I feel right at home.
Jase, welcome. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Got a couple of questions for you. Could you have imagined 3 or 4 years ago the kind of impact and notoriety in a positive way that you and your family would have right now?
Not at all. When I'll call them TV people, when they showed up and talked about what they were going to do, I was the first one. I said, this will never work. I just didn't think that people would want to watch a bunch of bearded, what we call rednecks, down on the riverbank just doing what we do. But to my surprise, there's evidently a lot of people watching it.
There are record numbers of people watching it. And around here, I think everybody watches it and everybody tapes it so they can watch it again and again and again. Now, I met your wife, Missy, this morning as well. You and Missy are serious about parenting. You've got 3 great kids. I've read somewhere that you, every day, make sure you spend positive time with each of your kids.
Well, I do. The toughest thing about doing a TV show and, you know, duck season every year is 3 months. My wife calls it an ordeal. I actually have a job making duck calls, so we have all these things going on, and the tough part is where's the time for your kids? And especially when you're on a TV show and you're getting all this notoriety, you know, we have the maturity to realize, look, fame is fleeting and money is fleeting. What counts is your faith and your family, but it's tough on kids. You know, if they get 100 tweets from girls saying they're the best looking thing ever, well, they think, well, am I really? And so it's been really tough with our kids. And so what I try to do is every day, no matter what's happened, no matter where we've been, I try to make a conscious decision to have some kind of positive impact on their lives. And what I realized is it's not going to happen by accident. So no matter what kind of day I've had, when I pull up in the yard, I think, okay, let's go in here and go to work trying to be positive and make a lasting impression, you know, on my kids, because that's my primary responsibility on who I want to see in heaven.
Wow, what a great message that is. What a great way to live your life. Do I understand that Uncle Si actually says that you and he share a lot of personality traits and characteristics?
Well, no, I don't know about that. You know, my Uncle Si, I think we're equal when it comes to being stubborn, and we both tell good stories, but mine are usually fact, and you know, he has a lot more fiction in his stories. But we're actually close. We hunt together. We actually argue a lot, but you know, I think sometimes in life you have these relationships that people look from the outside, they think, well, how come y'all are arguing all the time? And we're like, well, we're enjoying each other. We like to argue with each other, and we laugh and have a good time. I'll tell you this about my Uncle Si. He is a bit crazy and off his rocker, but there's not one malicious bone in his body. I mean, I've known him, you know, since I was a kid and been around him, and he is actually one of the finest men you will ever meet. He's just a bit odd.
That's great. Your mom and dad, Phil and Kay, seem like the greatest folks in the world as well.
Well, they really are. And, you know, I got to give my mom a lot of credit. When we were kids, my dad was not a very good guy, to say the least. And, you know, they were away from the Lord and pretty much just in chaos. And my mom was kind of the glue when we were little kids of just at least keeping a foundation there and trying to keep the family together. Of course, once he came to the Lord, when I was 5 years old, you know, everything drastically changed for the better. And it still took him a while. But through that, they have really, you know, been the anchor of our family. And I think the main thing is the reason why the show is success is because they're real and they're open.
Right.
One of my dad's greatest qualities is he always finds the value in every single individual, and he's done that ever since I've been a kid. You know, a lot of people you would just look at and form some opinion. He's never been like that.
Wow.
I've always been amazed at how he welcomes everyone in and finds the best quality they have and enhances that. And my mom, you know, when you're one of the greatest cooks in the world and you get someone down around the dinner table, it just opens them up to get to know them. And they're really just, they love people. And that's what I really appreciate about it.
And all those things were great news for you and your brothers growing up.
Oh, it's fantastic. You know, we were just pretty much, like I said, we didn't have a lot of money, and we had each other. We lived off the land, and we always had a house full of people. And I just think there's something to that, because you realize, you know what, you got your faith in God, you learning how to love people and get along, and that translates to later on in life. We're actually showing that, you know, at a national level.
Right.
So
wow,
it's been great.
Hey, I want to switch gears just for a second. Hollywood, in fact, the entire entertainment industry kind of has a real bad rap among people of faith, Christians like us. What is your experience, or what is your view of the entertainment industry at this stage?
Well, I mean, it was a little bit of a culture shock when the crew showed up from LA, and you would think it was a culture shock for us, but it was more of a culture shock for them, because they looked around, you know, we're out in the woods, we're in the water, you know, we're singing songs to God, and I think it was a culture shock. I think they were a little concerned about, you know, showing our faith on national TV. But I think throughout this process, they realized that when you're sincere and things are real, that's what people want to see. And I think there's been a balance that has happened from the start of the episodes till now. And you know, when they first came down, I think they were looking for the typical reality show. There's a blueprint for reality shows, which I didn't know. They like a lot of fits of rage, a lot of dysfunction, and a lot of four-letter words. And we said, look, you're not going to find much of that here. And when we do, we're going to try to stop that. But then they met my Uncle Si, and I think they thought, you know what, we're going to try to make this work. Because he is funny all the time.
Right,
I mean, a lot of people ask me that. They're like, is Si like that all the time? I'm like, oh, he's like that all the time. I mean, we sit around and laugh at Si every day.
On camera or off camera?
I mean, there's no difference. I mean, that is 100% Si. You never know what he's going to say next. And when he starts telling a story, you know, hold on to your hat.
Hey, what about your faith, Jase? Have you had any surprising obstacles that have arisen over the last few years during this growth and popularity? Any things that you've had to kind of step back, and you're very grounded and you're very committed? In anything there?
I think with you know, with anything, you know, it goes back to the decision you made. And you know, when I was 14 years old, I was a shy guy. You know, I was a typical teenager, and I was scared of the limelight. My number one fear was public speaking. I mean, I never wanted to get up and say anything. And the more I looked at this Jesus and what he did, his death and his burial and his resurrection, I decided to make him Lord of my life and put my faith and trust in him. My dad baptized me in the Washita River when I was 14. And my take was, I just thought living a Christian life was more playing defense. And so for about 2 years, I just basically tried to do good things, but I didn't realize that if you're vocal about your faith, the pressure is then put on the people that you're sharing with. And then I realized how powerful the message was. So I guess my point is, you know, sometimes I still get those same thoughts of, well, what if I say this, or, you know, what if I offend somebody? And then I realize it's not about me. The power's in God. It's in the message and what he did. And so I always go back to that. You know, when I was about 16, when I realized the true power of it when it's shared. And so, you know, it's just like anything else. Sometimes you get off track, and then you realize, you know what? I need to be vocal about this. There's where the power is.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm inspired, and many others are inspired. We read and see the stories of you all, despite all the great things that are going on with the show and with the business. You take time to share your faith. You evangelize. You have converted, studied with, baptized into Christ a number of people, and that's such a great example for all of us.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, our faith is number one. We go around and we say faith, family, ducks in that order. That's our priorities, and that's our recipe for success. But that's just not something we say.
Right.
I mean, before the show, during the show, after the show, that's who we are.
Let me ask you this. Any last words of advice that you would want to share with the Oklahoma Christian University students or others that might watch this interview?
Well, I think you realize that God uses flawed people to spread the knowledge of His Son. That's how this works. You know, you look at somebody like me, and you know, people don't know who I am. They think I'm either, you know, homeless, a threat, or some country music singer. But you know, when you get a grasp on the fact that God is using me to spread the knowledge of His Son, what that does for everyone here, you realize that if He can use me, He can use anybody. So whatever you do in life, it becomes your platform for your faith. And that's what's kept us grounded throughout this whole process. When the TV people came down, one of the cameramen, I heard him say to another cameraman, I heard him say, "This is going to tear this family apart."
Wow.
And you know, I was thinking to myself, well, you hadn't met my family yet, because you know, we're not chasing fame or fortune, because that's fleeting. So we want to, you know, announce to the world that we believe Jesus Christ is Lord. If there is a way to live eternally, we believe this is it, and we want to encourage as many people as possible to get on the trip with us. So it's the same for the people here.
Wow. God bless you.
Right.
God bless you, Jase. Boy, arguably, maybe not even arguably, the most popular member of a very, very popular family that has the best ratings of any unscripted reality TV show in the history of the United States. He loves his God, and he's committed to God. He loves his family and is committed to family. And Jase Robertson is on the Oklahoma Christian campus in our duck pond. Jase, God bless you and thank you.
Thank you, man.